Hi, it's Ivy Slater. Thank you for joining me today on Slater Success Live. We're here live on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on YouTube. This is a great interview today. This is somebody I truly admire, and I really want to thank you in advance for joining me. It took us a few minutes on tech. Anybody who knows me and follows me for a while knows I'm not the greatest tech person out there. So when we had some updates, it took me a little bit. But complete transparency, everything we do in business, we're always learning. And to me, everything I do in life, we're always learning. So I'm embracing the learning curve today. And in learning today, I want to bring to you Lynn Whitbeck. Lynn is the founder and owner of Queen of Sales. She's a business owner and for entrepreneurs and business owner. She ignites winning sales. One of the things that I love to talk about to Lynn about is the reality of sales, of where, we all know that the crux of business is always your sales tools, right? It starts with marketing, but the real crux is sale, and then that follow-up, follow-through, and all those systems from there. Lynn is the founder and CEO of Petite to Queen. She's the host of Claim Your Career Crown on Pelucha TV and Get More Clients shows streaming on Amazon and a variety of other platforms. You really don't want to hear me sitting and talking about Lynn. You'd rather talk to Lynn with me. So Lynn, come on, let's talk sales, let's talk success, and let's talk our journeys that going back in the day, we both started in the printing industry.
I know, isn't that funny? In fact, I think you can't see it right now, but I still have my ink books in this little, wicker basket. And so, oh my goodness. So when you have a widescreen, you can see my ink books.
So I'm going to own, I probably gave you a little bit of a crappy introduction, and you were very, very gracious in walking me through the tech challenges of coming on after updates to StreamYard. And we love StreamYard. I just missed the updates. My fault. I own it. Share a little bit of your background and how you got into becoming like the queen of sales and hunkering down around this.
Well, I think I started in sales when I was a child, Girl Scouts, selling cookies. And so I wanted that coveted cookie badge, and you had to sell literally a truckload of cookies to get that badge. I took my best friend out, who was the most shy, introverted person on the planet, and I set up a system, and I was like the Walmart greeter, bringing it to the table. She took their money and gave them cookies. and we were the only two girls in our district who got that coveted cookie badge. But here was the thing. I loved Girl Scouts. I mean, I stayed in it through high school. I loved the cookies, right? And if you're passionate about your product or service and about the company that you work with, sales is something that then becomes easy because it is the opportunity for you to help and serve others. That's really what sales is about. It's about helping and serving others and doing it with worthy intent, which means that you generally desire to be helping them, to become a partner, to become a trusted confidant, to move them, their business, their community forward. And so when you put that together, that is how sales becomes this joyous opportunity, for you to, connect with people and to help them and to solve problems. So I think sales is just a beautiful thing.
It's interesting because so many people are like, oh, sales, and truthfully, it's not even a word. It's a feeling. It's an emotion. It's that, takes so much out of me. Yet I agree with you. To me, the heart of sales is the heart of connecting to people, of truly getting to know them. I know a lot of people in my sales process. I made a decision years ago, and I'm very vocal about this. In starting Slater Success and walking away from printing and many other things that I sold over the years, I said, I will never work with somebody that I don't really like and feel a connection to, an admiration to, that I will stay in integrity and value to myself. Because in the work I do, I get so close to people. With that, in my sales process, I really put on a high value level that getting to know somebody. And sometimes I notice with people in sales, they're so damn transaction based. They skip the whole getting to know somebody. What are your thoughts? I mean, you train on sales much more than I do. I do some training on sales, but it's a piece of what I do.
Well, I do take the approach that this is a long-term relationship, that you're looking for the opportunity to do more business with them over time, receive introductions and referrals from your clients over time. And that's a long-term relationship. And there are some people, and in some cases, some sales are very transactional. You buy an iPhone at an Apple store. I mean, I don't even know who I bought it from, type of thing, but it's still a pleasant experience and come back to the Apple store, right? So there are differences in the level of sales. In professional sales, which is really where you earn a lot of money. Yep. That's the great thing about sales. Sales is actually the lowest paid profession and the highest paid profession. Ironic. So when you're in professional sales, that is relationships. And it's about that long-term relationship. In enterprise sales, you and I both know it can take 18 months to 3 years to close a sale. It's a long-term process, almost like getting engaged and married, right? So, and there's some similarities there. So I think one reason that people often, and I'll say, they cringe when they hear the word sales, either that you are in sales, it's like, oh gosh, you're going to try to sell me. And it's because there's the bad eggs out there that do act like there. And there's the predators out there, the people who tell you exactly what you want to hear. And they take your money and you get literally nothing for it except for embarrassment,
right,
that you had this experience with them.
So it's interesting.
That's the dichotomy.
One of the things that I find very interesting is, I agree with you. The greatest success in sales is long-term. Many times people don't have the heart to stay in the conversation and build the relationship. And because they're looking for the sale versus the almost that annuity of the sale, meaning the sale that keeps on paying and paying and paying. And I know I've had numerous experiences in my career, whether it be Slater Success, whether it be Slater Graphics, whether it be previous companies I worked for before that, that sales, building a relationship with a human being has, I did this once, Lynn. I took a relationship that I've had for probably over 20 years now, and I started adding up the various sales through different types of companies, different industries that I did with this, through this one relationship. And it was plus 7 figures through a relationship. So I look to build the relationships for the long term, because that's like the meat of the success, the really long-term success.
Yeah. Well, it's also more emotionally satisfying to yourself, and to
true.
the other person. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, we are human beings. We are human beings, and we are a pile of emotions, right? And that's why relationships are so important. I mean, we are community builders. And so when you lean into that aspect of sales, it just opens up so much more for you, so many more opportunities, and it's so much more fulfilling.
So tell me a little bit where you think people and companies fall down. Like, if there's something we can do to improve, where do we stop? Where do we fall down?
Well, I actually have this thing about the 7 deadly sins of sales. And there's sort of a tie between the first two, but I always sort of lean in with the first one is failure to follow up. So many salespeople, and the stats around this are really quite shocking. It's like over 42% of salespeople never make a single follow-up attempt. So they meet someone at a trade show, at a conference. And then there's another, it's like 48% give up after 4 sales calls and they don't have a sale. And yet most B2B sales, over 50% occur well after the 5th follow-up attempt. So
Easily.
and so the thing is that the reason around that is people have a strategy in place about what they're going to do for the follow-up. All right. And how they're going to execute on that follow-up. And here's the second deadly sin of sales, gets directly tied to follow-up, is they're not thinking like the client. And it's a real tie as to which is more
Tell me more
important.
about this. I'm going to interrupt here for a second. Hold on. I agree. Most people don't follow up. I mean, back in the day, and ladies and gentlemen, viewers, whatever you want to call yourselves, I'm going to just say, back in the day, it was 5 to 7 touch points for a sale. Then it went to 7 to 12 touch points. Then the onset of social media has that if you want to stay with the 7 to 12, pull out every social media touch point out of that formula. Okay. And this is not statistics. This is just my opinion. This doesn't make it right. This is just my viewpoint when I'm engaging in sales and growth. Lynn, what I hear and what I agree with is not only do they don't follow up, they don't know what follow-up is. They think follow-up, sometimes I have proof things like, hey, I wanted to follow up. It's like, please don't put that in a subject line.
Yeah. I'm putting this to the top of your inbox. There's so many lame follow-ups. Hi, Ivy, this is Lynn. I was calling to follow up and see if you're ready to make that decision. I mean, yuck. The first thing, you just skip right over it. It's like, I'm busy. I got time. So that's where the client thinking, what is important to the client? What's going to add value? And even if they don't respond, which is often, people are busy.
We're busy.
So, but you deliver value in your follow-up. You keep it brief, concise, to the point, why it matters to your client or your prospect. Sometimes your clients also fail to follow up with you. They ghost you. So that's what happens is that over time, and this is a classic, and this was in the corporate sales career. I'd had a great conversation with someone. They were very interested in our program. And he then just went like radio silent. But every time I phoned, I told him, I led with the value. And at the end of the call, I said, and this is Lynn Whitbeck, I slow my cadence down, give my digits so anybody with dyslexia can easily understand them. And then I mix it up. Sometimes it's a voicemail. I have this thing I call a triumphant triangle I use. Sometimes I would snail mail a note card, or send some
mail
package,
has huge value. We don't get mail anymore.
Yeah. Well, now today, especially.
Out of the crowd, stop emailing. Pick up the phone or take a pen and write someone something.
Yes, exactly. But through all that, and then I have a 13-step cadence process, and at step 12, it's sort of like a Hail Mary pass. I sent a lunch invitation. And in corporate sales, this would mean I'd be flying in somewhere to have a meeting. Well, he accepted the lunch invitation. And nothing except an acceptance. Didn't follow up at all. I told him when I'd be coming. I made a reservation. I flew in, made a reservation for a lunch. I went into the lobby. I was there right on time. He trotted on downstairs. We went to a 3-hour lunch. And he told me he had been so busy putting out fires, everything else. He hadn't had time. And he said, but he's so appreciated every time I contacted him because it gave him more information and it was important to him. And when I sent the lunch invitation, he said, I got to eat. It's time we meet. I closed a multi-million-dollar deal a few months later, but that really made that bridge that gap. And that's the thing.
If you had not
follow up,
right. If you had not executed that lunch, the $1 million deal might have happened, might not have happened, but it wouldn't have happened in the timeline.
Yeah. No, and that was all a part of, so having a cadence plan, knowing what you're going to send, or how you're going to approach it. And once again, being brief and to the point, but standing out. And that's the thing. Follow up. It's by delivering something that matters to your client, thinking like your client. Why is it important that they listen to your voicemail, read your email, open your package? How is this going to serve them? And when you do that, it makes all the difference in the world. Sorry, Ivy.
No, I agree. It's very much about how I could be of service to you. And when we go back to the point about building the relationship, is we have to spend the time to truly get to know the person. And I think you and I have spoken about that before and how important that is. You know, if I'll give an example of somebody who's trying to sell me something, okay? And they're actually trying to sell me a corporate jet, which go figure, I'm not buying. Okay. Be that as it may, right? If they actually connected to me and actually really wanted to get to know me, they could have listened to her Success Story podcast. They could have listened to her Slater Success Live, because I always share personal things. I'm very transparent, right? They could have started with, hey, I saw your son got married. Did you fly there? Right? They could have used something a little humorous. Right. They could have been, they would have looked at me on Instagram. I'm a gardener and cook, in the summer. I love to play in my garden. It's one of my hobbies, right? They could have easily done a little bit of, I hate to say stalking, right? Getting to know what else I'm interested in and pulled something personal that I might have posted, a hobby, an interest, a personal post, and brought it to the forefront that might have engaged me to then read the email.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's so much available. And it just takes a little bit of time. I mean, I love the ones that, like on LinkedIn. Oh, tell me a little bit about yourself. And I'm okay. So in other words, you're not willing to spend 2 minutes to look at my profile or go to my website. You're dead to me. I mean, literally, you're dead to me, because that type of person right there, they're not invested in a relationship. And so, and these are things that I think a classic was, when you're at a conference or a trade show and you're at an event and everybody's sort of giving you that, oh, I do this or that. What I would always do is when I would say, Ivy, if you could be anywhere else, doing anything else, where would you be? Who would you be with? And what would you be doing?
Ooh.
Now that right there,
that is a
I would learn so much about the other person and get them talking. It wasn't about sales. I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm trying to get to know you as another human being. And oh my gosh. And we'd see each other coffee at some other place. And I have all this information. You can just carry the conversation forward. And there could be all kinds of commonalities. Maybe they love to go hiking in Yosemite with their partner and their dog. Well, I don't go hiking in Yosemite, but I love national parks. What other national parks have you been? What's your favorite hike? How many dogs do you have? It just, there's so many ways that you can go with this.
Find a common ground to talk with the person about. And what your opener is a personal opener to get to know them, giving us the ability to actually build that relationship that we started the conversation with.
Right. And it's one of those things that when you connect with people like that, it does start the ball rolling.
Yeah.
And so you had asked me about businesses. I'd gone over the 7 deadly sins of sales, the follow-up, thinking like the client. I mean, they're almost tied, but they're also so connected. I'm going to put another one out for business owners, and that they often haven't really developed their sales strategy, that when they bring someone new on, they go over with that new sales team member so that they have a map. They know what to do when, and everything they have. Instead, often it's like we have little mini entrepreneurs running around in corporate America. We had little mini entrepreneurs running around doing their own thing. And there's no consistency. And that there's a number of reasons that hurts a business. A, you really don't know their business when that person leaves. B, if they need to go on a leave because they've got a sick family member or they become ill. I mean, it's really hard for somebody else to pick up sort of what's going on because you don't have consistency. And you can't have the predictable sales of knowing that you're all performing and rowing in the same direction, so that it provides your business with a lot more sustainable, predictable, profitable sales. And so that's a major flaw. And even with business owners, you've run your own businesses so many times successfully that there's an elixir, this special founder magic, and you can't bottle it. But what you can do is distill enough of it so that you can train your people and create a roadmap for them for success.
So when we look at that in the couple of minutes we have left, when we look at creating a roadmap, creating something that's sustainable, that's a whole big conversation of in and of itself. If we gave one tip on it, on something that is what the business leader, the sales manager, the CEO can look at, the one thing to start creating sustainable salespeople and what they can do.
I would definitely put in a referral program. So where your team is trained from the time they first meet someone. Ivy, it's so great that we're having this wonderful conversation today. So many of the people that I have come to me through referrals. And yet we connected on LinkedIn. Isn't that amazing? Now, I just seeded the idea that most of my business comes from referrals. But you want to see the idea of referrals all the way through the sales process. And when you have earned the right, you ask, because if you don't ask, you don't get. You ask for the referral. And that brings in more business. Referrals are the most profitable, the lowest cost of client acquisition, and the fastest sales to close. And this is not just referrals outside, but it can be referrals into another department if you're working, or another silo within a bigger company, or another location. So referrals are incredibly powerful, but your sales team needs to be trained on how to seed them into the conversation, how to ask, when to ask, and then to continue that process. Because people who come to you from referrals, they also are more likely to become referrers themselves. So this is like self-generating. So if you're going to put one piece in place, it would be a referral, and actually train on it, practice on it.
Practice the conversations, train on it. Lynn, I love that. And it's so true. Out of the business, all the business I've done since I started selling in my 20s, okay, just recently, mind you, it has been the crux of this. The crux of the businesses I've been able to build and grow and develop has been based off of referrals and ask. So those, how can our listeners, viewers find you? How can we connect?
Well, I'm here on LinkedIn, of course. And you can go to my website at petitetoqueen.com. And of course, I do my TV show, Get More Clients, where I teach and train on sales every week. I do that live. So you can always join me live on the show as well. And that's me.
Awesome. Lynn, thank you so much for being here. Hang out in the green room for a moment, and I'm just going to tee up what's next.
All right.
So thank you for joining me today on Slater Success Live. For those of you who are new to this, hey, we're actually starting back. We just started back after the summer, and we're slowly bringing out more lives. Some things to look forward to that's coming forward in the next couple of months on Her Success Story, as well as Slater Success Live. We're moving into our nonprofit series where we highlight nonprofit leaders. It excites me every year. To me, the holidays are about giving and receiving. So learning more ways to give, even of ourselves, is always a good thing. Look for that starting later in November. Stay tuned for more great shows. Give us a post. Let us know what you think. Any questions, Lynn and I will be monitoring the feed here on LinkedIn. And thank you for joining me here today. See you next time.